going on, guys? Welcome back to another It's Freaking Story Time with the Boys, episode number 10. We are here with Ed. So Ed is one of my longtime subscribers that I had met. I was at one of my best friend's birthday parties at the Tailwater Lodge, and I remember I was walking out and I hear Slowbee, and at the time I don't think I had been YouTubing very long, and I was like, I turned around, I'm like, how do you know me? And I'm like, oh yeah, YouTube. So I met him there, and then not too long ago I ran into you again this season at the Redfield Liberty Fuel store. So that's how I know Ed, and he was gracious enough to do a story time with me, and we actually did a review of his snowmobile too, his 2022 XRS 900 Ace Turbo. So without further ado, thank you for coming out.
Oh, no problem.
Truly appreciate it, man.
No problem. I love it.
We're going to get right into it. When you're not snowmobiling, what are your hobbies?
My hobbies when I'm not snowmobiling is I'm a big golfer.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I golf from, I'd say, I'm a fair weather golfer, so it'd have to be from June on. But yeah, that's my love is golfing.
So where do you golf around here? Is there a favorite course in the area? Or?
I go out towards Rochester a lot. I go towards down towards like Oneida, out to the Turning Stone a lot. But Turning Stone is probably one of my favorite. Yeah, just very expensive.
Yeah. And nice, probably.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Good lawn work.
Exactly.
That's cool. Yeah. I used to golf when I was a kid.
Oh.
I actually golfed for high school for like 2 years, and then I was at the point where if you can't be good at it, or you can't practice and be good at it, wasn't even worth it for me. I was getting so mad because for a while there, my short game was really good, and then once I stopped high school, it was like I didn't have any heat behind the ball.
Yeah, I'm not as good as some of my friends that I golf with, but I'm not bad.
But I have to imagine as the summer goes on, the better you get until the next year.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, how many years have you been snowmobiling for?
I've been snowmobiling probably since I started snowmobiling in 1989 was my first year snowmobiling. As I started then, so 89, 99, a little over 30 years. Yeah, 32 years, 33 years.
That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah. My first snowmobile was a John Deere JDX8.
I just sent a picture to one of my old high school friends, or he used to live in our neighborhood. I'll show it to you real quick. And that's when I started. My dad had one of those.
Awesome.
And I'll show you guys too. My dad had one of those, and when I got old enough, I'd get home from school, I want a backyard and ride. And over time, I destroyed that snowmobile on the poor man.
Oh no.
So that was your first snowmobile, was a John Deere.
Yeah.
So how often do you upgrade to a new snowmobile, and why? Now you said your timeline was kind of
I've got
lengthy, so I'm looking more for give me some of the significant things that you remember, of why and.
Oh, like the biggest thing was let's see here, been 1996 was my very first brand new snowmobile. It was a Polaris XLT 600 triple, had a 12/12 suspension. That was big back then. Back in 96, you had 12 inches of suspension. It was glorious. Yeah, and that was big because of the suspension. And then my big next upgrade was when I'd say 2001. I got an 800 twin LE. They called Polaris's 800 LE, the limited edition. Had the M10 suspension in it. Really good sled. I love that. After you put about 1,000 into the suspension. But that ran good. And then one of my most memorable sleds was 2004. I had a Pro XR 800 Polaris. It was all orange. It was, I don't know if you ever, if I can find a picture of that, I'll show you one of them. But that thing was a really, really nice sled. It was more of a snowcross sled. That's when I was real young and crazy. So that sled was one of my favorites. And then I have to say, the newer sleds nowadays, one of my latest favorite was 2018. I had an Assault 800 Polaris. Love that 146-inch drag. You can go anywhere you wanted, and it was awesome.
Are those true 146s though?
Yeah, it's all.
I just remember. I feel like the Polaris had one where it was 100 and something, but because of the way it was
Yeah.
shaped. It wasn't a.
What happens is it's a 146-inch length track and lug, but at the very end, the rails tip up. So when it tips up, it's tipping up from the 137 point up, which makes it feel like you're riding a 137. But when you get in that deep snow, it's still the 146.
Right. Oh, okay.
And it was awesome. I like this sled a lot, but it didn't, going through the starter bumps, it was this uncoupled suspension.
Right.
Just wouldn't do it. But yeah, that was one of my favorite sleds. Yeah.
So buying new sleds back then, and you said 96.
Yep.
Did you have to spring check them the same way we do now, or
Yes.
is there a different?
Yeah, I'd go in there and you put $500 down at your player's dealer, and I bought back then. I was buying all my sleds through Bibbin Sales and Service.
Okay.
Shout out to Bill and Linda. They're really good people, and love buying sleds from them. They're probably one of the best dealers in Central New York at the time for players. Now they're Players and Skidoo, so, but really good people. Loved them. But yeah, $500 down. And back then it was $7,500 for a brand new sled, and now it's like that one right there is $20,000.
Right.
It's
yeah.
It's gone up.
It's sad.
Crazy. It is.
I bought my first new one was the 2004 500 SS. I don't remember the exact price, but I know that it was like around the 6,000 mark or something. Then my very next one was like 12. It's like, what the heck?
Exactly, doubled before you even realize it. Yeah, it's crazy the market, how fast it went up.
What are your favorite mods to do to your snowmobiles?
Back in the day, I used to be all about the pipes and all that, but that's when I was young. Now,
Right.
like I said, my major mod to this is the DuPont High-Fax, or for your High-Faxes, they're called DuPont, what do they call it there? DuPont, let me think of the name. Vespels. They're DuPont Vespels sliders. They pretty much, you can ride them on bare roads if you want. They're never going to wear.
Right.
Yeah, minimal snow, perfect for. If you got good snow, they're great for that too. But yeah, you almost like one of the best major upgrades is them slides. Yeah, you go to the slide and then I went with LED headlights.
Yeah.
Hand muffs, little stuff, just creature comforts.
Yep.
Yeah, nothing, no motor mods, anything like that.
So the mirrors, did you upgrade or
Yep.
did they come with it?
No, they had to buy them. They're
You had to buy
39.
those.
Yeah, $39. Mount them on, but yeah, that's about all I've. Them and handlebar riser. Just got it up a little higher, so when I'm standing, it feels a little better.
I like that. I didn't even know they did that.
Yeah. Yours got the same type of adjustable.
Yep.
Yep.
Same exact.
Yep.
But it doesn't have that little handlebar cover.
Yep.
Are you part of the wrist mirror gang?
No. I just use them mirrors. Yeah. Bunch of my friends used to always have.
I do. I love them.
Yeah. They were good.
I started using them on my four-wheeler too.
Oh man.
A guy, one day I was coming down, I won't say what road I was on, but I was coming down the road and he had a diesel and I had no clue he was there. So in true asshole fashion, he hammered on the gas and scared the crap out of me. I was like, and then I started wearing my mirror for on
Now you can see when people are coming.
I don't like when people do that stuff.
No, that's crazy.
Maybe if you give a little psst, let you know you're there,
Yeah,
but he
so-
just freaking full on.
Right around you.
Where is the primary area that you snowmobile?
Redfield, New York. Yep.
It's kind of a loaded question for everybody that I interview because mostly everybody rides around here, but
Yep.
best place on earth.
It is. For snowmobiling.
Yeah. What do you enjoy about snowmobiling?
I just like the fact that you can get out there and just the amount of scenery you get to see, and then riding and being with your friends that you haven't seen all summer long, and winter time comes, you get to see them again, and that's the best part is just being with the friends. And
How many guys do you ride with?
That's the thing. Everybody I used to ride with either had to leave the sport due to medical reasons or pretty much just got too old and couldn't do it anymore. I was one of the younger guys in our group, so it's down to me now. And I ride with actually a longtime friend of mine, my friend Brian. I grew up with him out in Jordan where we lived, and he actually moved up to Boylston, and
Okay.
So I ride with him. I've been riding with him since 1985. We started on our little Honda 125 three-wheeler, and
That's
yeah.
awesome. I like that.
Yeah, we've been friends ever since, and we ride together there. But all my other friends, CK, shout out to him. Shout out to my friend Big Kev. Those two guys I rode thousands and thousands of miles with, and CK he can't be in this weather anymore due to health reasons, and so he moved down south. And my friend Kevin, he just hasn't got back into it yet. I'm hoping he will. And then I got a friend Al, he used to be in.
You're on notice.
Yeah, exactly. My friend Al, he used to ride with us too, but he's younger than me, so I'm pretty sure Al's going to get back into the sport sooner or later. But like my friend CK and his friend Andy, they used to have a camp north of here up in Montague, and we'd always go up there, and them guys were probably the greatest guys you could ever ride with, and it's just sad that you can't. Once you can't ride no more, it's.
No, I get it.
It's sad.
I couldn't imagine. Yeah, you know.
No.
Do you have a picture that you brought, or you want to skip that? And we
yeah.
can go back to it?
I have to get one for you.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
What's your favorite loop?
My favorite loop would be leaving here in Redfield, and when I leave Redfield here, I try to go towards the 46 corners.
Yep.
I'll go 46 corners. Once I get to 46 corners, I shoot straight up north, hit Camp 4, pretty sure.
Okay.
Camp 4 trail. All the way to just before you Sportsman, you take the north-south road? Is that what it's called? Or?
Honestly, I don't know the names of
those.
Yeah.
But it takes you down to the railroad bed, and they'll bring you up to Tablet Corners. And once I get up to Tablet Corners, I go from there.
Well, Camp 4 is the railroad bed.
Okay, so
that's Camp 4 that takes you to Table's Corners.
Yeah, that's what I stay on all the way up to there, and then I'll drop down in, going towards Branningham.
Okay.
I like to
Pine Tree.
Yeah, I go right past Pine Tree, and I go right up to Stillwater Reservoir.
Yep.
Get up there, and I like stopping in there. The owner there, Joe and Marion, they're really nice people. They treat you good, feed you good. Shout out to them.
You ever go out to that Norridge Walk?
Yes.
It's a cool place to go to.
Yeah, it's we were.
I've only been once.
I got a story about that being out there, which I'll leave for story time once we get to that.
Right.
It's a sad story, but it's a story. I don't know if we want to put that in there, but
we're real here. We don't sugarcoat anything.
Yeah.
What's your favorite food destination?
Around here, I'd have to say Hayloft.
The Hayloft?
Yeah, ride to Hayloft, or even right here I like going right here to the town square. I get some chicken wings there.
I was just going to say, I love their General TSO's chicken wings.
They're good.
They're pretty good.
Yeah. Anywhere up around here, Bucks. I like going down to Bucks. They're all pretty good. Tailwater Lodge is really good too.
Have you had Rusty Roof yet? Have you been there?
No, not yet.
Go there on a Saturday night and get wet tacos.
Really?
And then thank me later. I'm telling you. She's doing really good with that place.
Now, where is it?
So, remember Vanessa's? No? So when you're at the Circle K, so you're facing the Circle K, Bucks is on the right. Directly to your left is the Rusty Roof.
Oh, man, that used to...
It used to be the Vanessa's.
Okay,
Yep. Great. They get plugged in almost every one of my videos because my group likes them so much. Great inside, like the woodwork. They got the pool table. They have the ring game where you swing it and it hooks on the nail.
Awesome.
The music, they keep an iPad out, so if you want to put something on, they're fine with it. You can adjust the volume. The owner always comes over and talks to us and tells the meal, this and that, and just really, when you think of home, it's like that's the type of place that you think of. And we just like going there. And then again, she hand makes these wet tacos, and I say they're the best on the side of the Mississippi. But
that's awesome.
But you gotta go Saturdays for them. But they have good food all around. Good portions too.
Definitely have to check out there.
Breaded chicken wings, they're like freaking the size of snowballs.
That's awesome.
Do you have a favorite historical site?
Historical site? Around here, I'd have to say it'd be, I just like going up to the gorge.
Yep.
Westone Golf
Yep.
Course. Yeah,
Yep.
park there in the pine trees and
Yeah.
get to see look over the.
Get your photo opportunities.
Yeah, get a little scared by going over the edge.
You ever go there in the summertime?
Yes, yep. You can't ride in there with your quads.
Right, but like have you gone, I think, I don't know the name of the road, but you can get into that park as a
At the
campground at the bottom.
Yep.
And then hike all that stuff too, I think,
Yep.
is what I heard.
There's actual a snowmobile trail. If you know the right people, they'll take you on it, and it goes all the way down into the bottom there.
Oh.
And we took it once, and it was pretty sketchy. I was like, I don't think I want to come back in here again. It was pretty sketchy,
Right.
but yeah, if you know the right people, they can show you down through there. But yeah, no, that'd be like a good historical place. Trying to think what other place would be good. Up in Stillwater, this was in the 90s, we went up in there and we used to stay with this guy, Harry, shout out to Harry, and he has a camp up there, and he was a backwoods rider, and he took us to a spot back, it was, I'd say, more like northeast of Stillwater, to this water tower, and it was an Adirondack water tower. It was all built out of wood.
Oh, kind of like the Pulaski. I love that water tower.
And it was so tall that literally had to like turn your head upside down to look at it. And he was like, that was one of the coolest old places I've been to.
Yeah, I used to love going by that one in Pulaski, and then there'd be little icicles because of the water stuff now and stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
That water tower still is in Pulaski. It's just the trail.
Don't go there.
The trail don't go through underneath it before they rerouted it around the pipeline because people would ride on top of the pipeline and
Get hurt.
ruin it for everybody.
Exactly. It always happens.
When you bring a new person snowmobiling, if you do, not everybody does, which I'm starting to realize doing these. Where do you take them? What do you like to do with them? Kind of the day in the life of.
Like if I'm bringing them up here, Redfield, I'll make sure it's definitely Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
No.
Common theme of my videos.
Yeah, no weekends for a new person up here. It's just a recipe for disaster. If someone that don't know what they're doing, they're gonna get scared. You don't want that. You want to have minimal trails, and like we'll leave from here, and I go right towards like Winona Forest. You get up in there, and not a lot of people know there's a big amount of trails in that little forest, and everybody just goes from there straight to the hill.
Right.
They don't hit the loop, and you can get almost 50, 60 miles out of that loop. And bring someone who's inexperienced up there, they just love it because it's always smooth.
Right. I remember the pine trees in there. I've only been in there like once or twice.
Oh.
And all the pine trees are all full of snow. It's real cool.
Yeah.
Cool views.
But that's where I take someone that's inexperienced and just let them get the feel for the machines and stuff like that. I used to take them up to Montague, let them get on a big trail. But it's like I said, you get on a weekend. It's
the weekend warrior stuff, and
it's dangerous. You don't want to see nobody hurt. And
yeah.
so I'd rather take them on a weekday up there or right up to Winona. And
Yeah, and you don't want them to have a sour taste in their mouth, you know.
yeah, you want them to come back. You take them on a Saturday up here, they're never coming back again.
Yeah. Or if you don't want somebody to come back, that's where you take them.
Exactly.
There's guys out there right now like, they took me there.
Exactly.
So we're moving kind of quick here, though.
Yeah.
It's freaking story time. So obviously, I don't have no stories to tell about you because we just kind of met over the course of probably a year and a half here, and like I said, we met at his job and then at the gas station up here. And thank you for coming out to the hot dog roast. We appreciate that.
Yes, that was awesome.
We had a great day doing that. So we got a chance again. So there is a third time. So we're not really strangers anymore per se. So I mean, if you got a couple stories you want to tell,
Sure.
give them to me, man.
All right. So like my first story, it was this is the one. It's just a little bit of it's a sad story, but it's something that everybody needs to be aware of and what's going on. And it was back in, I'd say, 1999. We were riding up in Stillwater, and it was me, my friend CK, my friend Big Kev, and CK had a bunch of his people that he was working with up there, which we're good friends with all them people too. And we're at the Norwalk having dinner, and CK's good friend Jeff, him and his son were there riding, And Jeff's son came up to CK, was like, let's go for a ride. So we're like, okay. And me and my friend Big Kev, we're just getting ready to go back to our hotel room. And sure enough, they come up, they're like, want to ride with us? And I'm like, sure, why not? So we all get together and we're all lined up, we're riding and going down the trail. And sure enough, probably got like a mile down the trail and my headlight starts going out. I'm like, what's going on? I mean, completely out. Comes back on, so we all stop. I tell everybody what's going on. And they're like, well, can you see? I go, as long as I'm riding next to Pat, I can see. They're like, okay. So we start going and we get out on Stillwater Reservoir and all of a sudden it starts snowing like 4 or 5 inches an hour. You can't see nothing. All of us lined up, we're one right behind each other, and we stop and it looked like a dirt spot we stopped on. And Chris, my CK, he stopped and he goes, I don't feel right about being out here, guys. Let's just turn around and go back and call it a day.
Right.
We're like, yeah, let's do that, because you couldn't even see. You put your hand out and you couldn't
No,
even
and when it's blackout, even like on the reservoir, you can't see anything anyways, even though you got good headlights.
Exactly.
There's just nothing in front of you, behind you.
Exactly. So we all decided to take off from there, and when we took off, we started going out, and we're turning around, and which we didn't know is we're literally going out into the Beaver River. And we didn't know it. And we went out there, and as we're all turning, I looked up and I could see my buddy CK sled go through the water. And I seen just all water coming out from his. So I floored it. And as soon as I floored it, I was like, oh shit, Pat. So I looked over on my side and I see Pat. And he's on we're on 1996 XLT 1212s. He's on a 1974 Enticer Yamaha. Not a good chances, Kid's 16 years old, and his dad's back at the Norwalk having dinner. He's with us, he goes in. Everybody else's sleds come out. We circle back, we jump in, get him out of there. We get him out of there, and my buddy Chris is yelling at me, go get help, go get help. So I hop in my sled, straight across Stillwater Reservoir, wide open, as fast as I can go. Once you know, headlight goes out. So I'm riding across this reservoir 100 miles an hour, no headlight. I'm like, well, if he's in trouble, we got to get there. So I held it wide open all the way there, ran inside, and once we went inside, I yelled to the guy. I said, kid just went in the reservoir. These 2 guys, I don't know who they are, but they are like godsends. Right. They ran out, hopped in their truck, went straight across that reservoir in their truck, wide open. And I'm behind them trying to keep up with the sled, and they knew right where to go. They knew that whole area. They got to where we had to get, and sure enough, by the time we got back there, they had Pat out, and they already had him in an SUV doing CPR. But unfortunately, it was 25 below that night. When Pat went into the water, he inhaled the water, froze his lungs instantly.
Jesus.
He died there that night, and we didn't know it because they did CPR. Huey helicopter came in, airlifted him and his father out to St.
So Pat was a young kid?
Yeah. Oh. And him and his dad flew out in a helicopter to St. Mary's. Next day, we were all like staying at the Stillwater Reservoir Inn. We're like, what to do, And so we're like, you drive Pat's truck home, but we got to stop at Old Forge and fill out the paperwork at the sheriff's or police office. So we get down in there and we all walk in, and the cops like talking to us, but we don't know what's going on yet. We're just hoping he still has a fighting chance. And sure enough, cop took one of my friends in and he starts talking to him, and my one friend Kavi, after she looks over and he goes, read that. And I look down and there's a freaking paper there, and it said Pat passed away at a certain amount of time that night. And it was just like, the worst scenario could happen, It's like,
it's a scenario nobody ever talks about.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Yeah, and it should be talked about because, it's we didn't purposely go out there and.
Right.
But it's
you never do.
No.
You never do. And we talked about it. One of my buddies in his video, Jason. If I think of it, I'll put the video right here. He went out on the res and there was a thin spot, and he's sunk his. The front stayed out, he was saying, but you just right now is a perfect example. Right now, I was driving. You just got lit a fire under me. I was driving in the car. My mom came up, and we were taking a ride to Henderson, going to the Sharps, to the Amish place.
Oh yeah.
Coming out through town, a solo rider I don't want to profile anybody, but it looked to be a young kid right across the edge of the reservoir. Like, it's 50 degrees out here. Maybe you think there's enough ice, but number one, you're solo.
Yeah.
Don't do that when you're solo.
No.
Especially when it's warming up like it has been.
Exactly.
And I was just, the whole time, it took me about 5 minutes, I just kept shaking my head. Why are you doing that?
Why?
You want to go home.
Exactly.
If you're with a group, you want the whole group to go home, not everybody except for one person. And
Exactly.
if you're by yourself, you want to go home. And especially, who'd you tell where you were going?
Nobody.
Hopefully you did, but still.
Exactly.
No, it's, like I said, it's just not talked about enough.
No, it happened, and it was like the worst day of our lives. You know, anything, you know, when you lose a friend like that. And the worst part is it's a friend's kid.
Yeah.
You know, it's
hard when someone passes away, but when there's
Yeah.
somebody who has so much life in front of them, it doesn't make it any better for the older person, but
yeah.
they have so much life ahead of them.
The worst part was I mean that's this ain't the worst part, but the best part was, I'd have to say, is seeing his dad when we went to the funeral. We would get to this funeral in no line. It's like a line miles down the road. You know, Cicero, North Syracuse. This kid was he's going to be something in that town. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're sitting in line waiting, and all of a sudden I see a golf cart coming up, and sure enough, it's his dad. He's like, "You're not waiting in line." He says, "You're coming with me." So we all get in the cart, and first thing he asked us where my friend Big Kev is, and we told him he couldn't make it. He just couldn't deal with it. You know what I mean? And he goes, "Well, you guys got to come and talk to someone." So he took us to the priest, and the priest sat us down, and he said, he goes, right at that time, he goes, when that water opened up, he says, that was heaven opening up. He says, God took the purest one. He says, out of your bunch, he was the purest one, just the way it works. He goes, it wasn't none of your times. He says, if it was your time, he would have took you. So that put it into a better spin, but I'm like, how come this guy's so thankful?
Right.
You know, why is he thanking me and stuff? And then what I didn't realize, he's thankful that we got his kid out of there.
Right. Yeah.
You know, he wasn't.
And you don't think of that either.
No, and I'm like, and then once he said that to us, he's like, you know, you got him home to me. He's like, you know, you guys could have took right off and we'd never seen you home. So.
Right. Well, how cool is it too that those two guys in the truck went out there? Because not a lot of people do that these days.
No.
And there's so many guys, not to be the horse, what is it? Be the horse with a dead stick, or dead horse with a stick. Be the dead horse with a stick. There's a lot of new people out there snowmobiling right now. A lot. COVID snowmobilers who, I'm not going to say they're not doing the right thing, but if you might be one of those people that think you're not, take a safety course, talk to people who've been snowmobiling for 20 plus years, myself, my group of friends. You just heard he's like 35 years almost. Talk to him.
Exactly.
Ask questions.
Yeah.
The snowmobiling community is pretty tight knit, and I'm sure anybody you ask questions to will answer them for you.
And always remember, if you're out riding and all of a sudden you come into an area and there's no trees around, and it's a big wide open area, 90% of the times you're on water.
Yeah.
You don't realize it because you think it's a big open field, but up here it's...
Especially if you're on Tug Hill, because all that water runs off the top and it makes pools and this and that. But let's get on to something a little different.
Okay.
You got a fun one for
Yes,
us?
here we go. Now you got.
No, it's cool because it's for me it's awesome to be able to teach, right? But we got to teach it the right way, and I think we do a good job of that as a whole.
Yeah.
From the people I interview, and then just the people I talk to out in the community or out on the trails and stuff. I think we're doing a good job of that.
Exactly.
But we do want to get to some fun stuff here.
Exactly. So here's a fun story. It was probably like 1996, 97. I just got the XLT, and we're riding, me and my buddy CK and Big Kev, and CK goes, I'm bringing a rider out with me today. And we're like, okay, who are you bringing? And this rider was, to this day, I've never seen a rider ride as good as this guy. He was like, I'm telling you, I've never seen someone ride. It's just amazing. And he owned a Yamaha dealership on Erie Boulevard. His name's Fred's Yamahas, and on Erie Boulevard in Syracuse. And it was Fred. He brought Fred, the owner of this place, out. So he comes out and he's riding. We're on 96 XLTs. My buddy CK's on a Skidoo 440 race sled, and Fred is on a 96 or 97 MXZX 670 high output. Very fast sled.
Well, that's what my dad had when he got back into snowmobiling. He had the 670.
Man,
Or no, I lied. I just lied to you right to your face. 583.
Oh, 583.
But still.
Yeah, exactly.
Still a little rocket.
Oh, yeah. And he gets out there, and we start riding with him. And he is putting the school to us. I mean, I'm like, I can't even keep up with this guy. And I'm in my prime ride. You know, I'm trying to be as aggressive as I can. And I can't even keep up with this guy. And we ride all the way from, back then it was, we're riding out of Jordan. And we rode down through Skinny Atlas and went to the south end of Skinny Atlas Lake, this place called Bear Swamp. It's a really nice area to ride, and they got this hotel or this restaurant there called the Colonial Inn. So we go in there and we're eating and stuff, and we're talking with Fred, and Chris looks at me and goes, "Not bad for a 75-year-old, huh?" I go, "What'd you just say?" He goes, "Fred's 75. And I go, "No way." He's like, "He's in his 70s, I know that." And I'm like, "There's no way." So we start talking, and he tells us, he's like, "Yeah," he goes, I'm older," he goes, and he was riding like I've never seen anybody ride before. So we go back, we get our sandwiches, we're riding back, and this guy is still putting it to us. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't even keep up with this guy. We get all the way back to the truck, and we stop, and we're at the truck, and I remember looking over at him, I'm like, "Chris, that guy is amazing." I'll suddenly hear Fred go, "Hey guys, come here." So we come over to him. He's like, "I can't get up." We're like, "Huh?" He's like, "Can't get up." He says, "You guys gotta help me up." So we help him up. We get him in his truck. We load his sled up for him. And once you know it, he goes home, and he must have been hurt in shape or something.
He showed off too hard.
Exactly. His daughter sees Chris 2 days later. Chris goes into the shop, and she's like, "What'd you do to my dad?" He's like, "What did you do to us?" He's like, "You should have seen us." And he told her, he's like, "I've never seen anybody ride like that. It's just amazing." And
that's awesome.
And yeah, that was one of my greatest rides.
And we can only hope that we make it that long.
Oh yeah.
So I had a similar experience. So since I didn't get to share a story about you because we never rode or anything, when I first started coming up here, so the guys down at the Purple Palace, the dads used to come up quite a bit, or the one guy's dad, and he'd stay on 47 with a group of guys. So one time, the one guy's like, we want, I don't know if he wants me to share his name, so I'm not gonna, but the one guy's like, "If you guys want to see some renegade trails and some like backwoods stuff, come meet us." So I only met the guys a couple times, other than my buddy's dad. I've known him a long time. So we go over there, and now to get to the trail both ways, it's 2 miles. 2 miles to right here, and then 2 miles to the other end of, like, what is it, Potter Road or Jackson Road? Jackson Road.
Yeah.
So we meet up with him. Well, there's this guy down in a ditch, like kind of like a cliff, just freaking boondocking around, and then he comes out, and then we all take off. Then wherever, I still to this day can't tell you where he took us because it was no trail. And this guy's leading us through a freaking big guy, kind of big like I am, just freaking floating, going, you know, I'm like, "Oh wow, this is fun. Never seen this stuff." Kind of hard to keep up with him. Not really riding to keep up, but like he clearly knows what he's doing. We get to the restaurant, and this dude takes his helmet off, and it's like a 60s, maybe 60, 70-year-old man. I'm like, what was most impressive was the ditch that he was down in, and then came through the trees and came out. I'm like, this guy's the guy that's leading us out of here. But like I said, we can only hope that when we're in that situation, we can do stuff like that.
Exactly.
So, yeah. My fingers are crossed.
Me too. I got one more good story for you. This was back in, let's say, 2004 time frame. We stayed at my buddy's camp, CK, up in Montague area, just north of Montague. He's had a camp on 177. And CK was one of these type of guys. He would make these renegade trails to the trail.
Right.
You know, his camps, there's no way to get to it unless you make a renegade trail. So he's making all these renegade trails and stuff. And, you know, nowadays it's frowned upon because you're riding through someone else's property, you know. Yeah. And sure enough, it was frowned upon back then. And we were going through his renegade trail, and we get all the way right to where the main Snowmobile trail comes out. And this is his renegade trail. It would pop out. If you're coming off the Tug Hill, like going to Copenhagen, It was like right in that section where he'd come into that trail right
Okay.
back there. We stopped there, we're all talking, and all of a sudden I look up and I see this snowmobile coming across this field from the guy's farm. Wide open, coming at us at like 100 miles an hour, and I'm like, this ain't good.
It's gotta be the owner, right?
Yeah, I'm like, this ain't good, you know. This guy pulls up, not wearing a helmet, not wearing gloves. His whole face is all snow from coming across that field. He's the owner of all this land. He owns 500 acres right there. He's a farmer. He starts yelling at my buddy Chris, "You're riding on my property. It's illegal, da da da." And Chris is trying to, like, tell him, you know, trying to smooth things over, and it just keeps escalating to the point where I'm like, this farmer's gonna punch Chris. I'm like, this is bad. So I step in. I said to him, I go, hey man, all my farmer friends love to drink beer. If you want to go have a beer with me, I says, I'll go buy you a beer somewhere and we'll go drink about it. He looks at me, he goes, I like you. He goes, let's go to my camp. So we all followed the farmer to his camp. We all had beers. Next thing you know, we're all friends. He goes, you can use my trail.
You know, and that's funny because that's what it takes. So just talking,
Yep.
you know, not getting elevated and just.
Oh, it was
hey,
getting
want a beer? Let's go get a beer.
Exactly, and I thought for sure that was going to go to fisticuffs, but then once you know it, after we had our beer, Mike's like, you're more than welcome to come hunt with me anytime you want. So I've been up there hunting with him a bunch of times.
That's awesome.
Really nice guy. Yeah, shout out, Mike. You're the best. Thanks for not beating us up.
And we don't condone riding on other people's properties, but
No.
I know at my house and home back in Rochester, for me to get to the snowmobile trail, I probably had to ride 20 miles of renegade trails that have been there, just so you guys know I'm 40, that have been there since before I was a little kid.
Exactly.
So just so you know,
It's not you making it.
None. I mean, that's just how we didn't have a trailer, and I'd ride down the road, through the field, over the creek, over Bootleg Bridge, over this, over that.
Yep, same with
Just to come out to the trail,
Yep.
and then ride 20 miles of trail, and you ended up getting 100 miles, and then half that
was on your renegade trail.
Renegade trail to get there.
Yeah, so yeah, that was a great time doing that.
That's why it would be fun to go out west, because then you're on, even though they're not trails and you're just powder hounding around or whatever, that would be fun just to...
I'm surprised, like, some of these big landowners up here on Tug Hill, like the, what is it called there? That big club, Mad River Club. They own that big section that goes from here all the way to, like, the Salmon River Road, all the way to Little John.
Yep.
Even if they, like, made, like, some type of rule where you can, you know, pay $20-25 and just boondock an area.
Right.
If they opened up an area like that.
It's surprising you say that, and then it makes me think of Timberview. Timberview lets all those people ride those four-wheelers. You kind of would think that, and I'm not saying that I would expect it, but why not get a few bucks and let guys go out there and
Just, boondocking.
boondocking. You're letting them run through mud, which is worse than boondocking.
Exactly, and if they're doing that, that's going to keep them off.
Yeah.
So that someone's got to stop in and open some, even in state, if the state would open up some state land and.
It'd be nice to be able to do that, I'll tell you. That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, New York State's the only one that won't, you know, you go out west, that's all state land that they're riding on and they can go anywhere, and here they're like, no.
Cut you right off.
There's so many trails up in Adirondacks that they don't even use. They're logging trails that could be utilized, and they just don't.
We keep getting winters like this, it's not going to matter.
Exactly. It's crazy. And then you're spending this much on these sleds, just let them sit
Just
for
to look
8
at
months.
them, yeah. Looks good.
Yeah, 10 months of sitting there, you get 2 months of riding.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about my snowmobile stories. There's trying to think of like my very first time ever coming up here to Tug Hill, had to be 93, 94 area time frame, maybe 95. We're coming up here and I had it was a 1993 Polaris Indy 500 EFI. Before I had the EFI, I had an Indy 650. We made it all the way from the grist mill all the way to Williamstown on my 650. Thing starts backfiring. It's like it's blowing up on me or something, and I'm like, what's going on here? So I ended up taking it to Bill Bibbins Sales Service, and I traded in, and I said to him, I go, something's wrong with it. I don't know what it is. It backfires really bad. I says, I can't keep it running. I said, I need a dependable sled. So he goes, I got a dependable sled. He says, the only problem is, he says, you may not like the color. I go, what do you mean? He goes, it's pink. So I'm like, so I look at it, it's black, it's got pink all over it. I'm like, it's defendable? He's like, you'll never be stranded. So I took it. He traded me even for it. Even up. Didn't have to pay nothing. He let me take it. I took it. When we come back up here, we're like, we're bound to get to Redfield. So we ride all the way up through. We get up in here to Redfield. And now back in the day, when you came through here, the Dick's Pub Trail, we weren't really aware of it. So we'd always go up through Cedar Pines and then go from Cedar Pines down towards Jackson Road. And then back in the day, the Camp 2 trail, where it goes now, you'll see Camp 2 is here, and then the trail's right next to it for Jackson Road Trail.
Right.
The Camp 2 trail wasn't even there. It was just the Jackson Road Trail. So you'd go all the way up, and right as you get like to the top of the hill of the Jackson Road Trail in the woods there, it used to cut straight across and go over to Polaris Parkway, which is, that's what it was called back then, but it's that road that goes from, you know how you pop out onto Jackson Road, that other road that goes back to Osceola? They used to, back in the day, they used to call that Polaris Parkway.
Okay.
So we popped out onto there, and we're riding, and then popped right onto that main road. So we made it to there, and we're like, this is awesome. We're big time now. And we get on from there going to now it's called Camp 2 Trail. That's where it pop out, you'd hit that. And it was a little bit different trail back then. We get about halfway up that, and it's like you're on an adventure now. You're like, you're hoping you make it to the Sportsman.
You're watching your gas and your oil, right?
Oh yeah. So you get to the Sportsman, and I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, this is the big time. So we ride all the way back down here, and sure enough, we get back home, and we're telling all our friends, you guys got to come up and see this. It's like amazing. So now it's like 96. We updated to our XLTs. We come back up here. We're bound and determined to get up there. So this is 1997, and in 1997 we got a snowstorm up here. It was the worst lake effect snowstorm I've ever seen in my lifetime, and I've been riding up here 30 plus years. They got 98 inches of snow in 24 hours. That's 8 feet plus, 8 foot 2 inches of snow in 24 hours. We were staying at the Port Ontario at a friend's camp. Woke up 2 in the morning, I turned the light on, you couldn't even see a foot in front of you. And I'm like, and we had a F-150, my buddy had 35-inch tires on it, snowmobile trailer with the 2 sleds. We get up the next morning, we look out.
Can't even ride.
You couldn't even see the truck. All you could see of the truck was this much of the antenna sticking out. And I'm like, you couldn't even, it just looked like a big snowdrift.
Wow.
We dig it all out. We're like, we got to get to Redfield. So we dig out, we get all the way up to Redfield here, we get to the parking lot, we unload, and we're like, this is going to be epic. We start riding, and sure enough, we went up the same way I was telling you, and right where you get past the Cedar Pines and you go down to where it goes to Jackson Road, we get to there, and the town already come through with their big snow blower, that big blower, that's a machine that they got.
Yep.
To get into the snowmobile trail, it was this 15, 20-foot wall. You're like, straight up and down. It was right where the snowblower cut the bank. You weren't getting in there.
Right.
So we're like, well, we got to ride the roads. So we went all the way down to where it takes you to Osceola. We turned onto there, and that's where they used to call Polaris Parkway. We're going down there, and they used to have a bed and breakfast down there. We're going by, everybody's trailers were caved in.
Oh,
that's how much snow.
yeah.
Every snowmobile trailer we went by was caved in. Everybody's out there trying to shovel them.
Right.
We're like, this is crazy. So we get all the way to where the Camp 2 trail starts. We turn into there and we start going, and it's so deep, the sleds are just porpoising. And we get to right where there's like a hill, and it drops down, you can see, we stop, and there's a line of probably 200 sleds all stuck. And we're stopped at the hill, and we're like, this one guy, he's coming back, and he comes up, and he's like, you better turn around before all them people do. So we turn around, we got back out into the road, and we're like, you can't ride the trails, it's so deep. So we're like, let's just ride the roads. So we start taking the roads, and that road that takes you to Osceola. Back then, I wasn't too familiar where we were going. Next thing you know, we're in Boonville.
Oh, wow.
We're at the Boonville Hotel. I'm just riding roads, and I end up in Boonville, and I'm like, and we're lost, and I don't know how to get back to Redfield. And I'm like starting to stress out. I'm like, oh man, this is my first time I'm here, and I'm freaking doing this. Sure enough, I see this guy on a sled, and I walk over to him. I was like, hey, you want to know how to get back to Redfield? The guy looks at me and goes, Ed? He opens his helmet. It was a neighbor of mine down in Jordan. He's like, I know how to get back to Redfield. Follow me. So we followed him all the way back to Redfield. We get back here to Redfield. no lie, it was so deep we could barely get our truck out of there because the roads were 4 or 5 foot deep.
Yeah.
Craziest snowmobile ride I've ever endured. I was like,
well, that's the best thing about snowmobilers too. You never once thought about going back to the truck, no matter what.
No,
like, we'll just take the road.
Yeah.
We'll just take the trail. We'll just take this road.
We'll figure it out.
Or in Boonville, we'll just turn around and go back.
Exactly. I'm like, then we're like, how do you
Never
get
thought
back?
about going home.
Exactly. But yeah, those were the days back then. It was not a lot of grooming happening, and these trails would get rough.
Well, that's kind of what we talked about. It was just a treat, according to some of the older people that I've ridden with or just have talked to. It was just a treat to get from Redfield into Williamstown or Redfield over to Florence or something. That was a treat. So it'd be cool. I would think it would be cool to ride an old sled back in the day, just to experience it. But now with these things,
yeah, you're not, definitely not going back.
it would have been cool for a minute.
Exactly. Yeah, but back then it was what you had. And that's what you had. And the funniest thing, because like around here, Redfield was just getting their snowmobile club was just getting initiated, and the big groomer guy was Joe up at the Cedar Pines.
Okay.
He was doing all these little areas and stuff, and back then it was like, you wanted a nice smooth trail, you're going to the Cedar Pines because he's got it groomed up nice.
So that would explain too probably what makes that place so popular. I mean,
back in the day,
I didn't start coming here till 04, and we didn't have a camp I think till 06 or 07, and that was where everybody was going.
And what I wanted to ask you is, you said you used to stay at the Dick's Pub.
Yes.
Now, do you remember when Dick's
Best
Pub?
times ever.
Do you remember when the owner of Dick's Pub, used to bring in female dancers?
I never was there for that, but
I tell you
there was
what,
a pole in the corner, and there was a couple times where he'd bring them in during the day while we were out riding. And
we're up in Montague. This was probably like mid 90s or late 90s. We're in Montague. This guy comes in. He sits at the bar. He's like, "Lady dancers at the Dick's Pub." Every snowmobiler looked up, grabbed their helmets. We all left that building. Everybody went flying right to Dick's Pub. I was like, it's brilliant.
Dude, that place was great. The old man, rest in peace. I'd call him up. I'd be watching the trails or the forums and stuff when me and my dad first started riding the big snow up here. My dad'd be like, figure out where we could stay. So I talked to my buddies, stay at Dick's Pub, get the guy on the phone, talk to him, got a room, blah, blah, blah. We didn't end up becoming, like the guy knew who we were, and we always had a room. After we went there a couple times, I could call and he'd have a room open. Yeah, come on. $25 a night per guy, so me and my dad, $100 for the weekend.
How can you read that?
And you just go in the rooms, you could hear everybody in every room. It was just paper thin, putting pizzas out, the bar, nice beautiful bar in there. And we'd just hang out, and my friends would come up and he'd shut down the place and just leave us out. Just leave the money on the bar. And even the son, the last time we went there for our New Year's, Richard, he treated us just like his dad treated us. It was some of the funnest times for me, and me and my dad and my friends would come over. It was a great place. Now there's nothing. It's their house.
It's their house.
Yeah. Yep. So.
Yeah, you don't like that. That was one of the greatest stops. The Redfield Hotel. I loved going there just for their salad bar and their freaking prime rib on Saturdays.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
Yeah, it was one of the best places around.
So, quick funny story about the old man Dick. The very first time we went up there, we didn't know where we were going. He had a map. We bought a map from him, and it was just a Redfield map, so it pretty much just got you up to what's now the hook and ladder, and then everything stopped there. So it was, I want to say it was spring riding, or no, it was early season riding. He's like, yeah, we call him up. Yeah, there's snow up here. Get down. We're having a few drinks at the bar, getting dinner with him before we get up and go out the next day. So if you're going up on the hill, take the trail up, but when you come back home, which C5 up the hill, it's like when you come back home, take 17. Take 17. So we're looking at the map, and we ride, me and my dad, come back 17 from Little John Road. And I'm like, what is this guy doing to us? Well, he knew. He knew about the trail. And when we went up, there was some water. And we're experienced snowmobiles, but not experienced Tug Hill snowmobilers, where you don't know you're on a riverbed until 3 years later. Oh, it's a riverbed. And it was just funny. We got back, and I just remember coming down at 17, just like, well, what did we get ourselves into?
But you're thankful he took it.
You're thankful. He knew what you're the only tracks coming down it. And
he knew what he was telling you.
Yeah,
that's a great place.
Yeah. The last question, open forum. Anything you want to say? Anything you want to plug? Whatever you want to do.
Oh, yeah, I'm just.
On here it says love letter to Snowmobiling. Don't mind that. That's just a joke for me. I just keep it going for myself.
Yeah, just let everybody know. Snowmobiling is a dangerous sport. It's not something to take lightly. Things happen when things are going really well. When you think everything's going the best you've ever seen it, be prepared, because there's going to be a monkey wrench thrown into something, and that's when it always seems like everything seems to happen for a reason, but it's like you got better chances to make it up here as long as you, like you said, talk to some people. If you're on, that's one key thing I try telling people. If you come into an area and it's wide open and you think it's a huge field, they don't have fields up here like they do down back home. You know what I mean? Up here, it's 90% of the time you're on a lake, a reservoir, or a swamp. And just always ride right, stay alive.
Don't ride beyond your means.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Is I've noticed it this year. A lot of new people coming into the sport, they don't know exactly what's going on. Last year, had a good friend of mine pass away up here on North Road. He was the first death of Tug Hill last year. Really good, great guy. Golfed with him. It was his first brand new snowmobile ever. First time riding. Didn't really have an idea what was going on in icy conditions. And it's all it takes is when these sleds go so fast, so quick, and you're not stopping. It's like that's the whole thing.
And if you go out from here on out, and I'm not sure when I'm going to post this, if it's going to be this Monday coming up or next Monday, but if you go on here on out, the trails are complete ice underneath.
Yeah.
Even with the rain, it just flattened everything out and made it slick, slippery.
Just an ice.
So you got to take your time.
Yeah, take your time and think about, you're not just you, but everybody you're out there with. You're riding with either people coming at you. They got families. They want to make it home too. Everybody wants to make it home, and just ride safe, ride within your means, and just have fun.
Yes,
that's the most important thing, is get out there and have fun. And if you are on a lake, you are on a reservoir, you don't know what you're doing, chances are I'd get off. Don't even take your chances, because you don't know what could be out there. Just take your chances of hitting a trail. And
they drained the reservoir out here, and then you got the ice shifts, and you hit one of those doing 100.
Oh, it's not good.
You're probably not going to go home.
Exactly.
It gets kind of redundant, but I came across, I got probably 4 different, I didn't put them in the video. I think I did one. I can't remember though. A guy is just like, they stand up and they're pointing for their buddies to go to the right side of the trail. I'm like,
if you don't notice,
why do you have to stand up? None of you should be on the left side of the trail, including you.
Exactly.
It's just so weird.
Oh, it is. And I get the people who try to do hand signals. Like, if you can take your hand off the bar safely and do it, then do it. But if you can't, don't even try. I almost got hit so many times by people trying to let me know something's going. It's all right. I can see what's coming. I'll take my, That's why I think them lights are. Did you ever see the people have them lights?
The green ones. And
green and yellow. Yeah, them are key. I think they should come standard. For $20 grand, we're paying for these machines.
They're not going to come standard. They're going to be an extra $200.
Exactly. But yeah, just ride safe.
Yeah.
I don't want to, just too many deaths lately. It's not good when you see every weekend. I'm here in Redfield and I see the fire trucks go by. I see the ambulance go by.
You can tell when it's for a trail accident.
It is. It's scary. It's like, don't need to happen. There's plenty of seasons to ride. You ain't gotta do 90. I mean, it's fun. I'm like, back in the day, I was just like some of these guys. I was riding just like an idiot, but I learned. You learn.
You learn over time.
You learn you can't do that and you can't do this, and just stay safe. Ride right, ride within your capabilities, and and come back for another weekend. That's the best part.
Spend that money.
Exactly.
I appreciate it.
No problem.
That was awesome. Guys, Ed brought such a, like, I don't even know how to say it, just a knowledge of the Tug Hill area for 30 plus years. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I enjoyed hearing about the stories and some stuff I learned, and I hope you guys do too. That's what these are meant for. Thank you for freaking agreeing to this, man. This is awesome. And this is where, for you new riders, even some of you older ones, the community's pretty tight knit. We're nice guys. So if you have questions, I even looking for new people to do these story times, reach out. And in the description below, I'll put all the info. If you have any info you want me to put in there, I'll put it in there. If you're on Facebook or whatever, Instagram, any of that stuff, I'll put that down there. Get a shout out, so then you can reach out to him. But with that being said, having a blast, loving these, so much fun. Brings people together. That's what I like about it the most. But without further ado, do me that favor. Tell your grandmas, your grandpas, your moms, your dads, your aunts, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, your friends, your frenemies, your enemies about these videos. Like them, share them. These are so much fun. I keep saying it. I know it's getting old, but it is what it is. Thank you for all your support. Without you guys, I couldn't do this. And if any of you are interested, reach out to me in the comments below or on any of my social media, which is in the description below. I love you guys. Peace out, and we will see you next time. Thank you. I appreciate it.